College football, man. The landscape has changed. Much like a tornado or a violent storm, it came out of nowhere, but is having long-term effects on the game. What's happening in this now climate of the NIL that no one can stockpile talent anymore, like the days of Nick Saban at Alabama. Your second team guys will leave and get paid a little better to do so, which gives a new meaning now that one person's trash is another man's strength. So how is it really affecting the game? Look at the national championship Ohio State Buckeyes. They were a senior heavy team with key transfers on the team. Ole Miss transfer Quinshawn Judkins, Alabama transfer Caleb Downs, and Will Howard, a transfer from Kansas State. Combining them with the upperclassmen that they already had, like Jack Sawyer or JTT on the team, and only generational freshmen and underclass players like Jeremiah Smith saw the field. The average age of that team was 21.5 years old. Might as well round it 22. And that's 4 years out of high school and 3 years of college football for some. Why is this important? In the current age of NIL, to recruit well, you have to spend well. And to get the number one class, you got to pay like you weigh. So unless you hit on every recruit, you're still at a disadvantage because the championship teams now are older. Take Indiana, who's ranked number one, and in the finals, they averaged 22.5 or 23 years old per player. Miami, who they're facing, well, they're a little bit older. They're older by 3 months. By all accounts, they really are a professional football team, and they're 4 years removed from high school, each and every one. Texas, who played Ohio State in 2024, will average 21 years old, and consequently, they got younger as they picked up only a couple of transfer portals players out of the portal, and they stayed very young. It backfired on them in 2025, and they ain't even make the playoffs. So what is it that we're saying? What's changed? Honestly, we're in a cycle. If you remember back in the day, Jim Brown, only the upperclassmen played. As a freshman, you couldn't play when you were coming in. And now the game became dominated by these high school phenoms, and it was being controlled by them. But now it's being controlled again by the upperclassmen. This time, though, it's not the upperclassmen at your school you have to worry about. It's the upperclassmen across America. And that's the problem. It's called the transfer portal, and it's the culprit. Big G.
Man, listen. I hear Mod, and I agree. But there's some other elements to this thing, bro. First of all, let's talk a little bit about these NIL collectives, right? The NIL collectives, for using my words, are diabolical. These are big-time business people making big-time investments in big-time universities. Some collectives have been able to keep the Blue Bloods, the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Texas, kept them relevant. But there's other collectives that's got these new people on the up and coming. Man, let's first talk about it. The Blue Bloods, the OGs, the people that's been paying people forever. You got guys like Phil Knight from Oregon. He's a big-time ball player. You got Patrick Wells Smith from Texas University, and the whole Texas crew over there doing what they do to make sure the people get paid. You know, look at them Cox folks. Them people standing on the bridge in Austin, just looking at the landscape, talking about we own everything. So they get down as far as the bread is concerned. You got my boy, the old Schottenstein family down there at the OHIO, man. Brian Schottenstein, boy, that dude got more money than Parker Brothers. So he just donating. You got the Clawson and Brandra people over at the University of Tennessee. I saw somewhere where they donated over $35 million on an annual. They haven't committed, but you see how they a net influencer. They got big bread going on. And then, of course, the diabolical Nate Forums himself that paid that damn Underwood all kind of big bread to come to the University of Michigan. I flat out stole him from LSU, man. That's diabolical. But then you got these new kids, man. You know, all of a sudden you got teams like Indiana coming out of the damn woodworks. And I wonder why that happened. Because you got old Mr. Mark Cuban himself, the diabolical Dairy Queen owner. He got bread on top of bread just can throw it at the program, and now all of a sudden, Indiana's a powerhouse. You got Cody Campbell over at Texas A&M University. That boy got oil running through his veins. He's able to do what you got to do in order to get a team on the field. You got old Mark Repo at St. John's, who's a basketball guy, dumping money big time into St. John's University. Look for St. John's to get a chip here in a real quick, fast, and hurry. You got old John Ruiz down at Miami University. Wonder why Miami Hurricanes in the national championship? Because they paying big bread for big players for a bunch of old dudes, like my bro Mod said. A bunch of old dudes. The average age of the Miami Hurricanes is something diabolical, like 23 years of age too. And then you got the McCrays, the daddy and the son, J.K. McCray and old Jeff McCray out there at USC. For y'all that don't know, USC had the number one high school football portal, the number one high school football class in 2026, and they are destroying people in the portal. You want to know why? They got that Hollywood money jumping off over there. So that's part of the reason why. Oh, yeah, and I can't forget about this dude. Look how rich he looked. Oh, Monty out there. Monty getting bread, making money, doing what we got to do, donating all kind of money. Listen, they had so much money, they paid a coach at halftime. Get the hell out the building. Get on out the building, bro. Jimbo, when your services are rendered, let's move on to the next guy. So this is the reason why the NIL thing is so big, because you have blue bloods that's established, but then you have older people who are graduates from universities, and they're like, I want to see my team win. Right? Now, my other point is this, and I agree with Mon with this, but I got to point it out. Let's take a rewind trip and look around 2018 and 2019 in college football, right? Go back and look at the period from 2010 to around 2018 and 19. There was established coaches in NC2A as far as the Blue Blood University. I mean, we can't forget old Coach Saban, the old ball coach down there in Alabama. He destroyed everybody he ran through. And the reason why is because he was able to stockpile first, second, third team were all first-round draft picks on defense, from defensive backs, linebackers, offensive line, quarterbacks, running backs. You had Urban Meyer that tried to duplicate it at The Ohio State University. They were stockpiling talent left and right. You had Kirby, that smart from the University of Georgia, that absolutely duplicated it. Look at the draft classes from the late 2021 and 2022 from the University of Georgia and how much NFL talent they had on that. Well, like I said, and there's other coaches that was established. Jim Harbaugh did his thing up at the University of Michigan. You had coaches all over the place. You could look at the face of a program and see a coach. But something happened in 2019 and 2020 where this de-establishment of coaches happened. And now there's no guy that you like, man, I can go there and I can make it because that coach's connection and track record of sending people to the National Football League. It's not like that anymore in college football. It's just not. Now, there's still established coaches like Ryan Day, Steve Sarkisian down at the University of Texas. There's still guys, Dabo with his diabolical self, that don't want to do nothing for the transfer portal. But the faces of these universities are changing left and right. You know why? Because if you don't win, you can't stay. The amount of money that's being dumped into these universities you got to win. Because if you don't win, you can't stay. So now moving forward, here comes a guy like Signetti, who's paying for players at lower levels. James Madison University, he established it. When he went to the University of Indiana, he took at least 1/3 of his roster from James Madison University with him to the University of Indiana. First year, 7-5. Year 2, 1 loss to The Ohio State University and lose to Notre Dame in the playoffs. Year 3, on the brink of a national championship. This is the new way of college football. If your coach can't make it, they're not going to play around with you. They're going to buy you out. They're going to move you out. And they're going to bring in a guy who can win. It's all about production over potential for college football, Mon. All about production over potential.
And again, now this makes us look at our rosters different. What Big G said is so crucial because coaches know now I have to produce, I have to win. And that being the case, it makes us look at the rosters different. So they don't just go out and buy the number one recruiting class in the nation for high school seniors, who half of those guys is not going to play. Texas recruited 27 guys in 2025, and only 13 of them stayed, and only really 4 of them played. So therefore, the average of those guys, the 4 stars and the 5 stars, are getting $400,000 to $600,000 to come in and play. The highest ranked ones are getting paid $800,000. So that collective that Big G spoke of, now you have to understand those guys don't mind spending the money, but they want to make sure that as they spend the money, it's spent correctly. They can't afford for you to be buying teams and these guys not be playing on the actual turf, getting on the grass. And like I said, it's no wonder that teams are canceling spring games. And it's probably going to be less and less players that actually play on a game, even in blowouts, because they're trying to keep their roster intact and from being poached. Because now the great weapon of second and third teamers is film. And if somebody can see and see this player, or you can get your opportunity to be seen, now you have film and you can make a move in the portal. Because remember, the greatest threat to a kid at a D1, major D1 university is not coming from his own team. It's coming from across America. So from a developmental space, the major programs won't allow their developmental guys out the door. So why do you allow those guys to even be seen on film? Also, now what you're going to see is only the Malachi Tonys from Miami, the Colin Simmons from Texas, the Jeremiah Smiths are going to be the only ones that's able to hit the field and will be paid like that. They're the only ones that's going to be paid. You have to be special as a 4 and a 5 star now to get that big payday and that big NIL money. The 4 and the 3 stars now, you're going to see them start getting a decrease in their pay. And now it's going to be more advantages for them to take their first step in not a D1 program, but maybe a D2 program, or maybe go to junior college, because those years won't count. So therefore they'll still have their 4 years, be able to transfer and get paid going to a major D1, but they got to get the film. Overall, college football has changed forever, and this is the dawn of a new day. And you heard it here first on the KnoItAllz with myself and Big G. Big G, let me ask you a question, bro. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the new climate of college football in general? After what we've talked about, how should the people around America, how should they feel about this? I mean, for real, honestly, how should they feel about the new climate of football? Because we all love college football. It's the sport we know and we love.
Well,
is that going to be taken, that passion going to be taken, because now it's a business?
No, it can't be. It never will be. As long as the teams that have always been good in the past continue to get good. I think it's a damn shame for like teams like Auburn, who has traditionally been a good football team, don't stand a chance unless they change to do what's going on. And some of the donors get behind it. Look at what's happening right now for the University of Alabama. They have been pillaged over the last, let's say, 7 to 8 days because Nick Saban's no longer there. So they got to figure it out. So when the Blue Bloods are good and you got up-and-coming programs that are good, it's all good. But the issue is this. The only constant in life is change, Mon. It will happen no matter if you like it or not. The NC2A is closer and closer to the NFL as we speak today. Players should be paid, period. And when we start talking about that, a player now is an employee. Let's unionize. Let's get these kids together and give them an opportunity. And I'm the proponent because I love them to make money. But I think you got to have some type of commissioner, regulations, all the different things that you should have in order to make sure it's fair. Because right now it's the wild, wild west. But to quote Ed Orgeron, It was always the wild, wild west. The money used to come through the back door through paper bags. Now it comes through the front door through briefcases. Everybody's at it. Everybody's at it. Everybody's getting themselves an opportunity to get a championship. Money talk. BS runs the marathon. If you got the money, you got the bread, and you can evaluate talent, your school can win a national championship and NC2A football.
And we left out newcomers to the game. The Kansas donor, I forget his name, but he just gave $300 million to the Kansas athletic program. And definitely when you look at that, when you start throwing money around like that, man, a kid who from a neighborhood or poor place in life, you offer him a $400,000 NIL deal, man. I'm going to get that, and literally, like I said, when it comes down to it, I think you're going to see more and more teams not do spring training, spring practice. I think you're going to see a firm rotation during the season. You're not going to see, if it's not necessary for me to play my 3-star guy, he's not hitting the field. Why? Because he's my developmental piece. I got a lot of these kids on rent. I got them on 1-year deals, right? Like Cam Coleman. Texas just got Cam Coleman. He's on a 1-year deal, man. And you look at those Hollywood Smothers. You got Brown. These guys are on 1-year deals, man, and they're getting paid handsomely, but they're out the door. So you're gonna need to develop talent, and you're gonna need to have reserves, or else you're gonna have to replenish during the transfer portal every year. And I think what we're doing now is we're seeing the influx of it change. It's changing right in front of our eyes, G. And this happened in a 2-3 year period. Right?
Yeah.
It's rushed in on us. So we're getting the opportunity to see it happen now, but we're in a couple of years, I think in a 5-year period, we're gonna look back and be like, whoa, that's when it changed. You know what I'm saying? And so we're here now, and I think, like I said, my thing is I'm hoping that we don't squeeze all the purity out of college football. But you're right, this college football is the G League of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, let's just be true. Only 1% of the best make it from the collegiate football ranks into the NFL. That's how it works. There's only 7 rounds. There's only 32 players picked per round. Think about how many just kids hit the transfer portal. Last I looked, the number was somewhere around 4,500 kids was in the portal. So you got 4,500 kids that's trying to make less than 700 spots, because not all the kids that get drafted make the NFL roster spots. You only got 53 spots for a roster and 17 spots for a practice squad. You just don't have the availability. So if I'm a kid, I'm taking full advantage of being able to make money while I'm in college. Of course, you go to college to get the education and all whatever else. That's why you go. But in all actuality, every kid's dream that plays college football is to make it to the NFL. So why not make some bread on the way and put my family that much further from a financial standpoint better off than what it was prior to me going to college, and or have the money if I don't make it to the collegiate to the NFL ranks. Now I got 200,000. Now I got 300,000. I don't make it to the NFL, I got a degree and 200,000 or 300,000 in startup money. And I've made relationships with people that was willing to invest NIL dollars with me that might not want to, they might not connect with me at the NFL level, but from a business standpoint, hey, I got a shoe store. Hey, I got this business. Hey, I got that. How about investing money in me, because I've already shown you I can do it on the field. So let's keep it going. So what it does is it actually empowers these kids to become proficient businessmen, educated people, and work other areas outside of what their major talent is, which is football. And the whole reason they're getting opportunity for the money anyway. So you got to move forward with how this thing works. Kids are getting opportunities to change their life, change their families, change the structure of everything that's going with them. And if you don't do it, Mr. Dabo Swinney, I won't call you out. Look what happens to your program. Clemson fell apart in the matter of a blink of an eye. They were at the top. They were eating like Alabama. They was going to national championships. They was able to stockpile talent. Dabo, I don't want to hit the portal. Where you at now, Dabo? How's 7-6 looking and playing in the trash bowl? How's that looking?
That's where he's at. He's at the house.
That's my point. So the deal is college football universities, college football collectives, college football representatives. This is the new age. This is new wave. Get with it or get the hell out of the game.
Message.
That's how it's working, man.
Hey, man, and we like to thank you guys for rocking with us, man. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube and Twitch so when we go live, you'll definitely get those notifications. And Big G just gave y'all some game. Message. He just gave y'all some game. And I hope you're listening, man. That's all for us at this time, man. We thank you for listening. We're out of here. Know It All Podcast. Peace.